Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel camadewithlogic. So this is your friend mentor CA Ashish Jain, your audit faculty. Welcome to the world of auditing. So today in this video we will be revising chapter number 2, which is audit strategy, audit planning and audit program. There are total 11 concepts which we need to discuss in this particular chapter, and if we cover these 11 concepts your chapter gets done and dusted. So this chapter nearly has a weightage of 4 to 8 marks, and minimum one question will be for sure from this particular chapter, and it can go up to maximum 2 questions. Okay, not more than that. So in this video I'll not be discussing the documentation part, auditor responsibility with respect to overall audit strategy and audit plan, then auditor responsibility to plan an audit of financial statements. So these three concepts alone I'll not be discussing, because I personally feel that these three concepts are completely irrelevant from examination point of view. So the rest of all the 8 concepts we will be discussing in this particular video through our LDR concept capsule. Okay, so now let us start discussing why planning an audit is necessary and its benefit. Okay, what benefit an auditor will going to get if he does the planning of an audit. Okay, if we do the planning of an audit, so appropriate attention to important areas of audit, then comes timely resolution. He can identify and resolve the problem on timely basis, all the potential problem. He can efficiently manage his audit engagement, effectively and efficiently manage. Then right team selection. Okay, he can select the right team who are competent and capable enough. Proper assignment of work can be done. Then team direction and supervision. Okay, planning facilitate team direction and supervision of the team members and review of their work. Okay, it gives direction, supervision and review of the work. Coordination with others. You can coordinate if you do the planning properly. Definitely it helps in your coordination with your internal auditor or with your experts. Then definitely audit risk will going to get reduced if you do a proper planning. Okay, so these are all the 7 points which you need to remember if the question is related to why planning and audit is important and what are all its benefits is. Okay, so now the question comes is how can we remember these 7 points. So let me just give you a story how AJ sir, how your Ashish Jain sir manages his teaching profession. Okay, so this is the storyline. Now I will be narrating it. Okay, so recently only I started teaching CA inter audit. So I am looking for the right team selection. Okay, right team selection who can design my question bank, concept book, MCQ book and everything, who can create good thumbnails and everything. So right team selection I am looking for it, who are competent and capable. Okay, who are capable and competent. Then comes team direction and supervision. Obviously I need to give him direction, whosoever I have hired him. Okay, direction has to be given, supervision has to be done, whatever work he has done it. Okay, then obviously I need to coordinate, we both, okay, the employee and your friend, your faculty have to coordinate with each other. Then definitely I'll not be managing only the back end team, I also need to manage the front end team of faculty. Okay, I need to efficiently manage the faculty teammates. I need to timely resolve the problems and the doubts which students ask me. Then comes appropriate attention. Obviously I need to cover all the important areas of auditing in the LDR concept capsule, so that you can revise all the concepts very efficiently. Your chances of getting fail in audit is completely zero if you watch out our revision videos. Okay, so this act as audit risk reduction. Okay, so let's revise the story again. Right team selection, supervision and directing the team. Then comes coordinating with others, I need to coordinate with them. Then comes efficiently I'm managing my faculty team. Okay, then comes timely resolving the students doubt, I need to timely resolve the students doubt. Then comes once I resolve the students doubt, I need to appropriately give attention to all the important areas, appropriate attention to all the important areas of audit. Then if I cover all the important areas of audit, then definitely your chances of getting fail in audit will going to get will be zero. Okay, so which acts as audit risk will going to get reduced. Okay, So through this story you can remember and recall all the 7 points very easily. Okay, then comes concept number 2, which is nothing but nature of audit planning, and it's a continuous and iterative process. Okay, since our childhood we all know that planning is a continuous process. Okay, it keeps on going. So it begins, it's an ongoing process. Planning is a continuous and iterative process. It begins soon after completion of previous audit and continues until the end of current audit. Okay, it begins when you complete the previous assignment, and it starts and continues until the end of the current audit. Okay, so what are all things an auditor needs to consider when planning an audit, okay, while preparing an audit plan? One is he needs to apply analytical procedure as a risk assessment procedure. So analytical procedure covers in SA 520. Then legal framework understanding. Obviously you need to understand the legal and the regulatory requirement applicable to the entity. Okay, whether Companies Act is applicable, whether LLP Act is applicable, whether Partnership Act is applicable of to that particular entity, he needs to take care. Who auditor needs to take care? This is covered in SA 315. Then comes he need to determine materiality, okay, as per SA 320, and whether he needs to see expert needs to be involved or not. For example, in case of mineral industry, okay, if you are doing audit of mineral industry, definitely you need an expert who can says that how much mineral can be extracted from the ground. Okay, expert report is all definitely needed in case of mineral industry. Okay, so you have to decide whether expert involvement is needed or not. Then comes risk assessment process. You have to definitely assess the risk assessment. Then comes key team members involved. Okay, he have to involve all his team members, all the engagement partner and key team members should be involved in the planning and participate in the audit discussion. Once you complete your discussion with your all your teammates, you will now going to discuss the plan, audit plan, with your management. Okay, so discussion with the management. So these 2 points are interrelated. So this is the answer of nature of audit planning. So sir, now again the problem is how we can remember all these points logically. So SA 315, remember, you remembered SA 315, which talks about understanding the entity and its environment, including the internal control. Okay, so here you are understanding the legal framework and the regulatory requirements. So this talks about SA 315, and in SA 315 we always do risk assessment process. Okay, risk assessment procedure is been done in SA 315. Then comes SA 320, which talks about materiality determination. Then comes SA 520, which talks about analytical procedure. Okay, then comes SA 600 series, which is nothing but involvement of expert is needed or not. So this talks about SA 600. So this is how you can remember all these points in a logical flow. Okay, so SA 315 related 2 points is there, SA 320 is there, SA 520 is there, and then comes SA 600 series, that is involvement of expert is needed or not. Okay, so this is how you can remember all the points. Now comes to concept number 3, which is planning process. What are all elements of planning? Okay, so there are total 2 elements, broad 2 branches. Okay, you can remember it. One is preliminary engagement activity, another one is planning activity. Okay, preliminary engagement activity is nothing but before accepting an audit, what are all things auditor needs to consider, and planning activity talks about after accepting the audit, how auditor will going to plan it. Okay, so this talks about planning activity, this talks about preliminary engagement activity. So under preliminary engagement activity, it further divides into 3 branches. So one is performing, you need to perform procedures regarding client relationship and evaluate compliance with ethical requirements including independence. You need to evaluate whether all the team members and the firm and the team members, all the articles, all the engagement partner are complying with the ethical requirements including independence. Then establishing and understanding the terms of engagement. So these 3 aspects needs to be covered under preliminary engagement activity. Now we will be discussing each of the points. Okay, what has to be written in each of the points. So one is performing procedure regarding client relationship. Okay, so in this client relationship continuance, whether ethical requirements continue to be complied with. Okay, so auditor needs to determine whether all the ethical requirements are being complied or not, then only he can further proceed to take the particular assignment. Then comes integrity and competence check. Okay, obviously auditor needs to see the integrity of the client. Okay, so integrity of the principal, owner, key management, engagement team, competence, everything he have to take care, then only he can accept that particular engagement or not. Okay, so there are two aspects. One is he need to comply ethical requirements, whether ethical requirements continue to be complied with, and next point is related to integrity, competence check has to be done. Okay, whether the principal owner, integrity of the principal owner, key management and engagement team is competent or not. Okay, all the engagement team members are competent or not. So these are all the 2 points which you need to write with respect to performing procedures regarding client relationship. Okay, now comes evaluating compliance with ethical requirements. So there are two aspects which you need to consider in this particular point. One is ethical requirement, another one is independence. So in ethical requirements, engagement partner, okay, ongoing vigilance, the engagement partner must remain alert for any non-compliance with the ethical requirements. If there is any non-compliance with respect to ethical requirements, auditor have to take care, that is engagement partner have to remain alert. Okay, so one talks about ethical requirements, non-compliance of ethical requirements. Another point deals with independence, independent evaluation. So independent evaluation is nothing but engagement partner should obtain relevant information from audit firm. Okay, so here the firm represent the audit firm so that he can identify threats to independence. Okay, whether that particular firm is having some sort of threat related to independence or not. Okay, first he need to obtain relevant information from the audit firm. Okay, then he need to evaluate circumstance and relationship. Okay, he need to evaluate circumstance, under what circumstance independence can get compromised, and what will be the relationship between the that is client and the audit firm. Okay, what is the relationship between the client and the audit firm? Is the director of that particular client is doing the audit engagement? Okay, so you need to take care, you need to first obtain relevant information, then you need to evaluate circumstance and relationship, then you need to review any breach of firm policy. Obviously the audit firm will be having some sort of policy that has to be reviewed it. Okay, auditor needs to make sure that those policies are not going to get breached. Okay, so review any policy of firm policy, review any breach of firm policy, then comes if there is any breach. Okay, then appropriate action needs to be taken. Okay, you need to apply safeguards, eliminate or reduce threat, or withdraw from the engagement. So three things you can do it. One is you can apply the safeguards so that you can eliminate or you can reduce the threat, or else you have to withdraw it. Okay, two things you have to do. One is you have to apply the safeguards so that you can eliminate or reduce the threat, or else you have to withdraw from the engagement. So these are all the 3 points with respect to independence evaluation. One more thing I'll going to repeat it. One is obtaining relevant information, then evaluating circumstance and relationship. These blue box are super important. Okay, these blue things only you have to write in the examination. Then you will going to review any breach of firm policy, then you need to take appropriate action. If there is any breach of policy, then audit firm needs to take appropriate action which is related to safeguards. He need to apply the safeguards, or he need to withdraw from the engagement. Okay, by applying the safeguards he can either eliminate it or he can reduce the threat. Okay, then comes any unresolved issue must be reported promptly to the firm. If there is any unresolved issue, that has to be promptly and reported to the firm. Okay, that has to be bring to the attention to the firm members. Okay, then comes establishing an understanding of engagement. Okay, so sending an engagement letter before audit starts so that you can avoid misunderstanding, and the clarity of scope and terms you will get to know related to that particular engagement to both the parties. Here both the parties means auditor as well as the management. Okay, so why audit letter is being sent? So that you can avoid misunderstanding and you will going to get clarity, and what scope and terms of engagement you will get to know if you send the engagement letter to the client. Okay, then comes establishing the overall audit strategy, assistance for auditor. Okay, so while establishing overall audit strategy, scope, timing and direction. Okay, establishing overall audit strategy that set the scope, timing and direction of audit and guide the audit plan. Okay, so while establishing overall audit strategy, what all things needs to be considered? Uh, assist in determining in this overall strategy, in development of overall strategy. Okay, so you can imagine that when resource needs to be deployed, resource allocation, timing of deployment, resource management. Okay, so the example over here is inventory counting. Okay, so obviously I'll just give you an example. During my first year of my articleship, the third year article who accompanied with us for doing the inventory audit. Okay, so allocate the experienced team or the expert to specific area. So this is nothing but resource deployment. Obviously then comes resource allocation. We have allocated the senior. Okay, the third year article has allocated that you will going to do the raw material aspects, and 1%, 2% will going to do the work in progress aspect, and 3% will going to see the finished goods aspects. Okay, so resource have been allocated. Then comes timing of deployment, when this has to be done. Okay, during your interim audit you can do it, or during your end of balance sheet date you can do it. Okay, inventory audit, when to deploy the resource, then he has to manage the resource. Okay, so he has to plan management and supervision, that is team briefing, reviewing and quality control, review timing. Okay, all these things has to be done. One is resource deployment, then comes resource allocation. Okay, then comes timing of resource, when you have to deploy the resource, then comes you need to manage the resource. Okay, resource management. So these are all the four aspects, four assistants in determining the overall, establishing the overall audit strategy. Okay, let us discuss a very important concept, which is factors to be taken into consideration by auditor for establishing overall audit strategy. Okay, so what are all factors auditor need to take into consideration for establishing audit strategy? Okay, so I'll just narrate a story so that you can relate all the 5 points. You will come to know what exactly this particular question talks about. So you just imagine you are going to do audit of jewelry store. Okay, you can imagine audit of doing audit of Kalyan Jewelers. Okay, so now you just went to the Kalyan Jewelers head office. You are talking and discussing with the management. You are just defining the scope. Okay, so one is defining the engagement scope. That is, you will going to talk with the management whether audit needs to be done or whether review has to be done. All these things will going to come under the scope. You will going to define it. Then comes, you will going to say that ascertaining the reporting objective. Okay, if you are doing audit, then you are going to issue audit report. If you are doing review, then you are going to issue review report. So ascertaining the reporting objective, and when the report timing. Okay, when the report has to be issued. Okay, timing also will going to get decide. So for audit, you will going to issued on that is after 31st March at the end of the year. For review, you need to issue every quarterly. Okay, the report has to be issued quarterly. Okay, so ascertaining the reporting objective, to plan timing and the communication. Then comes, now you will going to come and discuss with your, okay, the one aspect of the story is, first you are discussing with the management what will be the engagement scope. Then you will going to discuss with the management ascertaining the reporting objective, when the report has to be issued, what is the timing, what will be the things you will going to discuss with the management. Now you will going to sit in a vehicle, you will come to your office, and now you will going to discuss with your teammates. Okay, audit teammates. Okay, considering the significant factor guiding the team efforts. Okay, how you will going to now guide your team efforts? You will going to consider the significant factor. Then you will going to consider result of preliminary engagement activity, prior knowledge. Okay, now you will going to take the prior working papers. Now you will going to see all the previous working papers of that Kalyan Jewelers. You will going to see whether the internal controls last year were effective or not. or whether the internal controls were deficient. Okay, you need to apply lots of procedures, you need to perform lots of procedures or not. If the internal controls are very strong enough, then definitely management, that is the auditor, no need to apply lots of procedures. Okay, so prior knowledge, okay, that prior knowledge, okay, reviewing the prior working paper audit file, okay, then you will going to ascertain the nature, time and extent of resource. Okay, now you will going to ascertain that who are all going to do the audit of this particular Kalyan Jewellers. The third year article should be there. Okay, nature, timing and extent of resource, okay, needs to be deployed. Okay, so through this storyline, you can able to imagine all the 5 points. One is you are discussing with the client, defining the character, that is identifying the characteristic and defining the engagement scope, then ascertaining the reporting requirements, timing and communication when report has to be issued. Then you come and discuss with your audit teammates how, what all factors you will going to guide your team efforts. Okay, how you will going to guide your team efforts. Then you will going to consider result of preliminary engagement activity, which is nothing but prior knowledge you will going to consider, and you will how you will going to use the prior knowledge of that particular audit in your current year. That is, if the internal controls are very strong enough, you definitely need to apply very less amount of procedure. If there is any deficiencies in internal control, then definitely you have to, auditor and his team really have to work hard. Okay, so considering the prior knowledge, then you will going to ascertain the nature, time and extent of resource. Okay, the third year article and the first year article will be accompanying and doing the audit of Kalyan Jewellers. Okay, so this is nothing but nature, time and extent of resource. Okay, so now these particular 5 things, okay, can be tested as an individual point in the examination. Okay, okay, this can be tested as an individual question, this can be tested as an individual question, this can be tested as an individual question. These all the 5 points can be tested as an individual question in an examination. So now you need to remember what exactly you need to write in all these 5 questions if it has been tested in the examination. Okay, we will be discussing it out. Okay, so one is identifying and identify the characteristic, defining the engagement scope, which is nothing but scope definition. You will going to define the scope, what all things you need to consider. Okay, so 4 points needs to be considered. We will going to discuss in our from our handwritten notes. So the story is Reliance Industry Limited clothing segment need Ind AS financial statements and LDR reporting. LDR requirements need to be fulfilled. Okay, so one is the nature of business segment. Okay, so Reliance Industry, they are into clothing business, so this is nothing but nature of business segment. Then comes financial reporting framework. Okay, that is applicable financial reporting framework. Obviously it's a Reliance Industry, which is a listed company. Obviously they need to prepare Ind AS financial statements needs to be prepared. Industry specific reporting requirement, they obviously they have to, since it's a listed company, they have to do the LDR related requirements needs to be fulfilled as per SEBI. Then use of audit evidence from previous audit. Okay, how you will going to use the audit evidence, what you got from the previous audit. Okay, using of audit evidence like internal control. Okay, if the internal control of that particular entity is very strong, then definitely you no need to apply lots of procedures, you can rely on the internal audit report, you can completely rely. So using of audit evidence from previous audit. One is nature of business segment. Reliance Industry, they are into clothing segment, lots of segment, you are going to do audit of clothing segment, so nature of business segment. Another one is applicable financial reporting framework for Reliance Industry Limited, since it's a listed company, Ind AS financial statements needs to be prepared. Then comes industry specific reporting requirement, which is nothing but LODR reporting requirements needs to be fulfilled every quarterly. Then use of audit evidence from previous audit. So these are all the 4 points that needs to be written if the question is related to characteristic, defining the scope, engagement scope. Okay, now we will be going to write over here. So one point was related to, write along with me, don't pause it, nature of business segment. Then comes applicable financial reporting framework, industry specific reporting requirements, example LODR. You can write example also LODR. Here it is Reliance Industry Limited, clothing business, clothing segment. Then Ind AS is the example. Then use of audit evidence, from previous audit. Okay, how much you can rely on the internal control. Okay, example is internal control, you can remember. I'll just write in a different color. Example is LODR. This example is Ind AS financial statements, and this example is Reliance Industry Limited clothing segment. Okay, so the storyline is, you can copy the storyline, which is Reliance Industry clothing segment need Ind AS financial statements and LODR requirements. Okay, the last point you have to remember it. Okay, this is not linked with the story. Okay, now comes ascertaining the reporting objective. What will be the reporting objective? And timing and communication. Okay, so under scope definition, consider entity reporting timetable. Okay, what will be the reporting timetable for interim financial statements? The between the auditor and between the management, they will going to decide, we will going to give on this particular date. Okay, so reporting timetable will be decided between the management and the auditor. Then organize meeting with the management to discuss. Okay, auditor will going to organize meeting with the management to discuss what? Nature, timing and extent of audit work. Nature, timing and extent, that is how much, what kind and when the work has to be done. Okay, nature, timing and extent of audit work. Another one is type and timing of audit report. Okay, what will be the type? If it is interim report, then you have to give quarterly, that is timing will be the quarterly, you have to issue the report. If it is audit report, okay, then you have to issue annually. Okay, so timing, type and the timing of audit report. Then ongoing communication on audit status. Obviously during ongoing communication also you will going to do during the course of your engagement, while doing the engagement. Okay, on that is ongoing communication on audit status during engagement. And team communication. Okay, that is auditors team will going to communicate, meetings will going to get happen, reviews will be done. Okay, senior engagement partner will going to review all the works. Okay, so organize meeting with management to discuss nature, time and extent of audit work. Then comes type and timing of audit report. If it is interim report, then quarterly report has to be issued. If it is audit report, then annually report has to be issued. Then ongoing communication on audit status during engagement. Then team communication. Okay, that is audit team will going to communicate, meetings will going to get happen, reviews will be done by the engagement partners. Okay, so now we will write over here. So one is nothing but so nature, time and extent of audit work needs to get discussed. Then comes type and timing of audit report. Then comes ongoing communication on audit status during engagement, during engagement only. Don't write the word audit over there because it can be review as well. Team communication should be there. Okay, so these are all the 4 points you need to write in the examination if the question is related to ascertain the reporting objective, to plan timing and communication. Okay, then comes consider significant factor guiding team efforts. Okay, what all factors needs to be considered in guiding the team efforts? Okay, so here the answer will be so one is related to other significant legal or environmental change in applicable financial reporting framework, or else industry reporting or volume of transaction may affect reliance on internal control. Okay, so these are all the 4 points which you need to remember with respect to factors, significant factors guiding engagement team efforts. Okay, so now the story, how you can remember all these 4 points, I'll give you a story. One is related to outside the entity. Okay, outside the entity is nothing but legal and environment is related to outside the entity. Another one is inside the entity, which is nothing but change in applicable financial reporting framework. If there is if the company is planning to shift from AS to Ind AS, so this acts as change in applicable financial reporting framework. Okay, first time adoption of Ind AS is also an example of change in applicable financial reporting framework. Then comes industry development. Okay, there comes change in the industry development, industry related point is there. And then comes volume of transaction, which may affect reliance on internal control. So there are total 4 points. 1 point is related to outside, which talks about legal environment change. Then inside related change is also there, which is nothing but change in applicable financial reporting framework. Then comes industry development is there, okay, which talks about industry development, regulatory changes or new reporting requirements, etc. Then comes volume of transaction may affect reliance on internal control. Okay, so these 4 points you need to remember if the question is related to consider significant factor guiding the team efforts. Okay, now we will going to write all the 4 points. One is other significant legal or environmental change. Guys, please write simultaneously when I am writing. Change, one is which is related to outside, change in applicable financial reporting framework. Then comes industry development. Okay, under industry development, which is nothing but regulatory change or new reporting requirements. Then comes volume of transaction, which may affect reliance on internal control. How much you can reliance on internal control. Okay, so the memory technique or the story is outside, inside, outside change, inside change, industry related change, and the volume of transaction. Okay, so if you remember the storyline, definitely you can write it very beautifully. So outside change is nothing but legal or environmental changes. Inside change is nothing but change in applicable financial reporting framework. That is the company is going to shift its that is AS financial statements to Ind AS financial statements. Then comes industry development. Then comes volume of transaction. So if you remember these 4 points, your job is done. Then comes consider result of preliminary engagement activity and prior knowledge. Okay, so what prior knowledge is required? Obviously the past engagement knowledge, use of previous audit in evaluating the internal control is effective or not, we have already discussed it. Then comes internal control review result. Okay, then comes professional skepticism. Okay, emphasize the need for professional skepticism and questioning mind amongst team members. Okay, so 3 aspects you need to consider. One is past engagement knowledge, using your past audit, that is use the result of previous audit, evaluating the internal controls are effective or not. Then comes internal control review results. Okay, current year internal control review results, you will going to review it. Then comes professional skepticism, you need to apply it, whether you need to rely on that particular internal control report or not. Okay, which is given by the internal auditor. Okay, One was related to the past, another was related to the present, which is nothing but internal control review results, and then professional skepticism. Okay, then comes ascertain nature, timing and extent of resource needed. Okay, so what will be the nature, timing and extent of resource needed? Choose and assign engagement team members based on audit need. Okay, who are well expert in this particular industry, you will going to assign based on that. Okay, who are all expert in that particular industry. Experienced member has to be given to the high risk areas. Okay, like high risk areas are nothing but income related. Okay, revenue recognition related, all those areas needs to be covered by experienced member. And decide the timing and extent of resource deployed. Okay, you need to decide the timing and extent when. Okay, timing is nothing but when, and up to what extent, how much resource needs to be deployed, that has to be discussed. Okay, so we will write over here now all the 3 points. One is, let's use the blue color, choose and assign engagement team members based on audit need. Then comes experienced member will going to focus on high risk areas. Then comes decide timing and extent of resource, timing and extent of resource deployment. Okay, at what timing and up to what extent experienced member, and choose and assign engagement team member based on audit need. So these are all the 3 points which you need to write in the examination if question is related to ascertaining nature, timing and extent of resource needed. Okay, then comes relationship concept number 4, which talks about what will be the relationship between audit strategy and audit plan. Remember one thing, audit plan is bigger in size, whereas audit strategy is smaller in size. Okay, so this is audit strategy, this is nothing but audit plan. Okay, so this is audit plan, this is audit strategy. You can see it, it's written over here also. More detail. Okay, audit plan is always more detailed than strategy, and describe how audit strategy will be implemented. Okay, so audit strategy is nothing but it's a broad overall approach to the audit. It's a broad overall approach to the audit, defining the scope, timing and direction of audit, whereas audit plan is nothing but in depth. Okay, describing how audit strategy will be implemented. Okay, how audit strategy will be implemented, it is more detailed than strategy. Okay, so if the question is talking about relationship between audit strategy and audit plan, then you need to define what is meant by audit strategy. Audit strategy is nothing but it's a broad overall approach, defining the scope, determining the scope, timing and direction of audit, whereas audit plan is nothing but how the audit strategy will be implemented, and audit plan is always more detailed than strategy. Okay, so these 2 points you have to remember it. Okay, then comes in audit plan there are another 2 more points. One is you will going to include nature, timing and extent of audit procedure. What will be the nature, what will be the timing, what will be the extent of audit procedures needs to be performed by the engagement team members. And the planning for procedure occur throughout the audit. Okay, planning of procedure occur throughout the audit. Here you are defining, you are including nature, timing and extent of audit procedure, whereas you are determining scope, timing and the direction of audit. Okay, what will be the direction of audit? So very important question this is also. Then interrelated. Okay, so both the audit strategy and audit plan are interrelated. If there is any change in audit plan, then definitely audit strategy will also going to get changed. If there is any change in audit strategy, then obviously the audit plan will also going to get changed. Okay, so they are closely interrelated, meaning change in one often result in consequence change to the other. Okay, establishing the overall audit strategy and detailed audit plan are not necessarily discrete or continuous or sequential process. Okay, They are both are interrelated. One change in one will going to leads to change in another. Okay, then comes concept number 5, which talks about change to planning decision during the course of audit. Okay, so definitely once you have prepare an audit plan, under some circumstance the audit plan will going to get changed. Under what circumstance audit plan will going to change, we will be discussing it out. Okay, one is updating the change, that is updating the changing the overall audit strategy. If the overall audit strategy changes, obviously your audit plan will also going to get changed. Okay, then comes cause of change. Okay, any unexpected event or change in condition or audit evidence obtained from audit procedure. If there is any change, unexpected event, okay, fire have occurred it, okay, you are not able to get inventory records, all the inventory records are being destroyed in the fire, you are not able to do it. Okay, that is unexpected event. So definitely you need to change your audit procedures, alternative audit procedures you need to apply. So unexpected, because of unexpected event, fire has occurred it, because of that fire has occurred it, you are going to change your audit plan. Okay, so unexpected events, change in condition or audit evidence obtained. Then comes revise procedure. Okay, you need to obviously revise your, modify the strategy and plan based on the revised assessment of risk. Okay, if there is any modification in strategy or plan, okay, definitely your risk assessment of risk assessment will also will going to get revised, revising the assessment of risk. Okay, so these modification will going to affect the planning nature, timing and extent of further audit procedure. It will going to affect your planning nature, timing and extent of further audit procedure. Okay, so one is related to update and change in the overall strategy, update and change in the overall strategy. Another one is unexpected event have occurred, like fire have occurred, because of that you are changing your audit plan, changing in condition or audit evidence obtained. Another one is revising your assessment of risk. Okay, because audit plan has been changed, based on which you need to revise your risk assessment, then you need to plan your nature, time and extent of further audit procedure. Your risk assessment procedure, okay, risk assessment procedure and obviously your further audit procedure needs will going to get changed because of change in audit plan. Okay, this is what this concept talks about. Then comes planning, supervising and reviewing of work of engagement team members. Okay, who is responsible for supervising the engagement team efforts, whether they are doing things properly or not? Who is responsible? Auditor. Okay, auditor is responsible, that is audit plan the nature, time and extent of direction, supervision of engagement team members and also plan the review of their work. Okay, so auditor is definitely responsible for planning, reviewing and supervising and guiding the engagement team efforts. Okay, so what are all factors influencing this include? Okay, on what factor how much auditor needs to guide, okay, or supervise, how much auditor needs to give direction, on what factor it is going to get determined? One is nothing but size and complexity of entity. If the size of entity is very big, just imagine Reliance Industry Limited, then definitely auditor, the engagement partner, have to put lots of efforts in guiding and supervising the work of engagement team members. So it depends on the size and complexity of entity. Then comes audit area being addressed. Okay, which audit area is being addressed? Okay, if it is related to expenses item, then definitely engagement partner will not be much concerned about related to expense item. He will be more concerned related to recognition of revenue. Okay, so under that situation, so it depends on the audit area, which will going to determine how much direction or engagement partner have to give. Then comes assess the risk of material misstatement, competence and capability of individual team member. Okay, so these are all the factors which influences how much auditor needs to give supervision and review of the work of engagement team members. Okay, so we will write over here, one is nothing but it depends on size and complexity of entity. Then comes audit area being addressed, Then comes assessed risk of material misstatement, and it also depends on competence and capability of individual team member. Okay, so these are all the factors which influence how engagement partner will going to supervise, will going to review the work of engagement team members. Okay, it depends on the size and complexity, audit area being addressed, assess the risk of material misstatement, competence and capability of individual team members. Okay, so these are all the 4 points you need to remember, and this question can also be tested in the examination. Now let us revise the last part of chapter number 2, which is audit program concept number 7. What is the definition of audit program? It is the list of steps for examining and verifying. Okay, what is it? Is nothing but it's a list of steps will be there for examination or verifying some particular sort of assertion. Okay, assertion found in the financial statements or based on review of client accounting records. Okay, so series of procedure will be applied on the financial statement items and accounts to gather enough amount of audit evidence, and so that auditor can frame an opinion. Okay, so this is what it talks about. So it's nothing but series of procedure which are applied on financial statements and accounts to gather enough evidence so that informed opinion can be framed on the financial statements. So now comes, there are total 5 aspects which we need to cover in audit program. If we cover that, it's your chapter done. Your chapter is done. So one is evaluating one audit program is not practicable for all businesses. Remember one thing, one audit program is not practicable for all the businesses. Okay, it varies, depends on the size, nature, complexity, lots and lots of factors needs to be considered for determining audit program. Okay, then what are all things to be kept? That is assistance to keep an open mind. Then comes periodic review of audit program. Then comes how you can construct an audit program. Then audit program designed to provide audit evidence. Yes, audit program is designed to provide, to gather audit evidence. We have already seen over here, to gather enough audit evidence. Okay, so these are all the 5 aspects which we need to cover to learn out this particular concept audit program. So first one is evaluating one audit program is not practicable for all businesses. As business variation, all the businesses are different in size, nature, size, and the structure. What work for one businesses may not work for another. Okay, then another factor which determines is internal control factor. Okay, see, remember one thing, if the internal control factor is weak, then definitely there will be a separate audit program. And if the internal factor is very strong enough in a company, then there will be a separate audit program. Okay, so it also depends on the strength of the internal factor, and the kind of audit evidence needed by the client also varies. So these differences make it difficult to create one common audit program for all. Okay, it is very difficult to create one common audit program for all. It is next to impossible. Okay, so it depends on the nature, size, structure, and it also depends on the internal control factor. Okay, if the internal controls are very strong enough, then there will be a separate audit program. If the internal controls are very weak enough, then there will be a separate audit program. Okay, then comes concept number 7.2, which is assistance to be kept to keep an open mind. Okay, while preparing an audit program, while preparing basic audit program, which is nothing but standard program, based on the client nature, size, internal control, and scope of work, you will be preparing a basic audit program that have minimum essential requirements, Okay, so basic audit program will be prepared based on the nature, based on the client nature, size, internal control, and the scope of work.
Then obviously there will be some sort of alteration in the program alteration, which is nothing but it will be modified. That is, you will going to include important area which have been missed earlier. Okay, you will going to add new important areas which was missed earlier. You will going to add in the audit program. Then you will going to drop irrelevant work. Unnecessary or irrelevant work has to be removed. Then comes open-minded assistance. Open-minded assistance talks about whosoever following the audit program should not blindly trust that particular audit program. He should apply his logic, he should apply his common sense. This particular point talks about not blindly follow the program. Important or unusual thing. If anything finds important or unusual, then it has to be reported to the senior or the audit partner. Okay, so very simple. One is standard program, which is the basic audit program needs to be prepared. That is minimum essential requirement, minimum essential work should be there. Then program alteration based on as and when the audit progresses, your audit program will going to get altered. And important areas which were missed earlier, you will going to include part of that particular program. Then developing, dropping, that is dropping irrelevant work, unnecessary or irrelevant work, you will going to drop it. Then open mind in assistance. Okay, you should not blindly follow the audit program. Obviously you need to apply your own logics, your own common sense while proceeding with the audit program. Okay, and if there is any important or unusual thing have been find it out, then that has to be reported to the senior or the audit manager. That's it. Then comes periodic review of audit program. Whatever program you prepare, obviously it has to be reviewed after certain period of time. Okay, after that certain period of time has been lapsed, you need to review it. Okay, so periodic review is nothing but audit program should be reviewed regularly to check it is still effective. Okay, obviously you just imagine you are preparing a audit plan for 2 days, 2 weeks audit plan. You are thinking to finish off the entire audit in just 2 weeks, so that every day you will be reviewing it. Okay, at the end of the day you will be reviewing how much portion you have completed and what will be your next day target. So periodic review should be there so that you will still remain effective. Okay, it will still remain effective. Okay, you can relate with it. Then change in client policy. If there is any change in client policy, then definitely audit program has to be reviewed. Otherwise the auditor will be blamed, and this should not be happening. Okay, so this can lead to doing an audit, doing audit on an outdated basis. An auditor might be blamed for negligence. Okay, if there is any change in the client policy, then obviously auditor needs to consider and make some sort of improvement in the audit program. Okay, then comes program utility. Program utility is nothing but reviewing the client operation. You will be reviewing the client operation and the internal control and removing the unnecessary and missed areas. Okay, so when you review the internal controls, when you review the client operation, then only you will come to know what are all unnecessary areas which can be removed or what are all missed areas which needs to be considered. Okay, so program utility talks about this. Then relevant instruction. Okay, program should not only list the work to be done, it also should include important instructions like how much to check and sampling plan. Okay, sampling plan should also be there, and how much checkings needs to be done, that should also be part of audit program. Then comes compliance with program. Okay, until and unless the principal or the partner makes changes in the program, all the peoples in the firm or firm personnel have to blindly follow, strictly follow the given instructions. Okay, whatever instructions are being given in the audit program, that has to be strictly followed unless and until the principal or the partner decides to change the audit program. Okay, then comes rigid myth. Okay, rigid myth. See, often people say that audit program is very much rigid, it is not fixable, but in reality, okay, but this is not true. But in reality, in regular updates, if regular updates and assistance feedbacks are allowed, then program can remain flexible and relevant. If there is feedbacks or regular updates are been happening, okay, like you can see, if there is any change in client policy, you are changing automatically changing the audit program. okay, then definitely it is flexible and relevant. Okay, so it is not true that audit program is rigid. It is flexible if feedbacks and regular updates can be done. Okay, two things has to be done. One is regular updates and another one is feedbacks are allowed. Then comes constructing an audit program. Okay, so for constructing an audit program, you just imagine ideally starts at the end of previous year audit, and both plan and audit program should be reviewed, modified as the audit progresses. As the audit progresses, the plan, both the plan and the audit program has to be reviewed it. Okay, remember this. Then comes internal control review. Okay, if auditor planning is based on review and preliminary evaluation of internal control. Okay, so see, I have already said you in before also that depends on internal control, the audit program will going to vary. Okay, depends on internal control. We have already seen over here that internal control factor, strength of internal control will going to make sure that the program needs to be changed or not. Okay, so the same way internal control review should be done. Then reliance, how much you can rely on that particular internal control. That is also very important factor. Auditor may decide how much to rely on the internal control if it is effective and efficient for gathering audit evidence. If the internal controls are not reliable, okay, then obviously you need to apply some alternative evidence. Okay, so you just see that auditor may also choose not to rely on internal control if other methods are more efficient for obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Okay, so alternative evidence gathering should also be done. You should not only rely on the internal controls, or you should not only rely on the report of that internal control. Okay, you should also apply alternative evidence gathering. Okay, then timing consideration. While planning, auditors should consider timing of procedure, coordination of client assistance, then availability of assistance, involvement of other auditors and experts, all needs to be taken care. Okay, so timing of procedure, when the procedure needs to be applied, you need to coordinate with the client, coordination of client assistance, then availability of assistance. My article should be available in the firm. Okay, they should not take study holiday. Then involvement of other auditors and the experts. Okay, so this is all important. Then comes timing discretion. Okay, usually auditor generally have flexible in which in when to perform audit procedure. However, in some circumstance, few things has to be performed at that particular point of time. For example, you take physical verification of inventory, that needs to be done at the closing year end balance only. Okay, that is closing year end only. You need to do physical verification of inventory, or else year end verification of security or cash balances. Usually cash balances are done at the end of year only. Okay, on the 31st March some year. Okay, so few procedures needs to be done at the respective time only. There is no flexibility in that. So timing discretion, no discretion is allowed in case of physical verification of inventory or year end verification of security or cash balances. Then program construction, all the above factors needs to be considered carefully for efficient and adequacy of audit procedure. Okay, so these are all things you need to consider. Then one of the important thing which we missed it out in this particular notes might be the designer would have missed it. Okay, so we will cover over it. We will cover from our handwritten notes. So what is the purpose of program construction, and the following points needs to be kept in mind. What are all following points needs to be kept in mind while constructing an audit program? One is stay within the scope. You need to stay within the scope and the limitation. Okay, what scope you have decided, you have to do audit or you have to do review. Okay, you should be within that limit, within that scope and limitation. Okay, then comes whatever program, audit program you are preparing it. Okay, setting procedure, prepare in a written format. Okay, prepare a writing audit program, setting procedures that are needed to be implemented. Okay, what are all procedures, when you have to implement everything, you need to do as a writing audit program. Okay, then determine evidence reasonably available. Whatever evidence is reasonably available, choose, identify, and then identify best evidence for deriving necessary satisfaction. Whatever, there will be lots of a reasonable evidence available for a single line item. Okay, you have to choose which one is the best, and based on your satisfaction, based on auditor's satisfaction, and apply only those steps and procedure which are useful. Consider all possibility of error, coordinate the procedure to be applied to related items. So these things you have to consider, and then come include auditor objective for each area. It will going to help in controlling the proper execution of work. Okay, so what are all things you have to keep in mind while preparing an audit program? If this particular question being tested in the examination, these 7 points you need to write it and come. Okay, so one is you have to stay within the scope and the limitation. If audit has to be done, you have to do audit. If review has to be done, then you will going to give limited assurance. Then comes whatever, prepare a writing audit program, setting the procedures that needs to be implemented, that are needed to be implemented. What are procedures when you will going to implement, that has to be written in an audit program. Then determine what are all evidence reasonably available, and you have to choose and you have to identify the best evidence based on the satisfaction of auditor. Then apply only the steps, only those steps and procedure which are very useful. Okay, we have already seen unnecessary things, you try to eliminate it. Apply only those procedures and steps that are useful. Consider all possibility of error. You have to document all the possibility of error in while preparing the audit program. Then comes coordinate the procedure to be applied to related item. For this particular related item, you need to coordinate what procedure need to be applied and what is the audit objective for each area, which will going to help in controlling the proper execution of work. Okay, so these are all the 7 points which you need to remember and write. Okay, then comes to another concept, which is concept number 7.5, audit program designed to provide audit evidence. We already know that audit program, so that is nothing but audit evidence. Okay, which is nothing defined as information used by auditor to form conclusion on which opinion is based. Okay, how you will going to get the audit evidence? One, in the form of accounting records or any other relevant information. Okay, so what is the purpose of audit program? To provide evidence. Okay, through appropriate procedures and techniques. By applying the procedures, by applying the techniques, you will going to get the evidences. Okay, this is the purpose of audit program. Okay, then comes expert knowledge. Determine the best evidence to test an assertion is a matter of expert knowledge and experience. Okay, for a particular line item, for example, for PPE, okay, physical verification should be done. Apart from physical verification, how you will be checking the balances of that particular property, plant and equipment, that is also another factor. So lots of things will, it depends on the experience and the knowledge. Okay, experts knowledge and the experience, what will be the best available evidence in that particular scenario. Then comes assertion testing. For each assertion, consider all forms of available evidence and you have to weight them. Okay, you have to weight its value. Then whichever gives you higher satisfaction, that you have to consider and proceed your audit. Okay, so one is all forms of available evidence you have to see. Then you have to see, you have to give weight, and then you have to select which gives you higher satisfaction, based on which on what evidence is giving you more satisfaction. Then comes sources of audit evidence. The auditor should obtain audit evidence from the following broad types. How an auditor will going to obtain audit evidence? What is the source of getting audit evidence? Now we will be seeing from our handwritten notes. One is, one in the form of documentary examination. Another, you can physically go and verify. Okay, this is also a source of audit evidence. Or you can get statement or explanation from management or employees, or you can get statement or explanation from third party, or else internal control check can be done, arithmetic calculation can be done, subsidiary and memorandum records can be verified, minutes of meeting can be read, that can also act as source of audit evidence. Then comes subsequent action by client or others. Okay, subsequent action by client or others. So basically, from which are all sources How you can get audit evidence? One you can get in the form of document examination. Another, physically you can go and verify. Auditor can go and verify, as in case of inventory or property, plant and equipment. Or you can get statement or explanation from management or employee. Okay, you can get statement or explanation from management or employee, or you can get statement or explanation from third party, or internal control check can also give you an audit evidence. Then arithmetic calculation has to be done. Subsidiary and memorandum records. Okay, this also gives you a audit evidence. Minutes of meeting, reading the minutes of meeting will also give you some sort of audit evidence. Subsequent action by client or others. So these 9 points you have to remember. And this question was also being tested in September 25 examination. I think 2 marks they have tested it. Okay. So don't skip any concept from study material. Then comes example. For example, cash in hand. What will be the best evidence? Okay, you have to do physical counting. Okay, that will be acting as a best evidence. For investment pledge with bank. Okay, the best evidence is banker certificate. Getting banker certificate will going to give you is the best available evidence. Okay. Then comes book debts. Evidence include, you can check ledgers, invoices, debit or credit note, then monthly account statement, balance confirmation. You can get it for getting best available evidence with respect to book debts. Okay. So these are all the examples. Then comes last concept, which is concept number 8, advantages and disadvantages of audit program. See, if you have a proper audit program, it will going to give you a clear set of instruction. Then allocation of work. Okay, offer a complete perspective of progress process, audit process, especially for major audits. Okay, then allocation of tasks can be done based on capability of assistants. That is how your assistants is much capable or not. Then based on which you can allocate the work. Then reduce risk of omission. Then comes promotes
members. Okay.
accountability, helps principle in monitoring the progress, act as referral tool and guideline for future audit. So these 7 points, how it can be remembered, I'll give you a logical flow. One is you are giving some, you just imagine your principal is sitting and there are two articles. One is Shubham, another one is Fire, who is standing behind, who is standing behind the, who is standing in front of now the problem is, how can we remember the advantages and disadvantages of audit program? Let me just narrate a beautiful story. Just imagine you are the engagement partner and in front of you there are two articles. Okay, the engagement partner is giving clear set of instruction. He is allocating the work that Shubham will going to do the P&L income items. He will going to verify the P&L income items and Payal will going to verify P&L expenses item. He has allocated the work. It will definitely going to reduce the risk of omission. Since there are only two items in the P&L, in one has been allocated to Shubham, another one is allocated to the Payal. So it reduces the risk of omission. Accountability. You know that if there is any mistake or if any part of item is being missed in from income side, then it's a mistake of Shubham. So accountability, who is accountable for what work. Then it helps principal in monitoring the progress. Obviously, how much audit has been complete, the principal will going to get to know, and it also acts as future audit. It also helps in future audit, act as a referral tool and guide for the future audits. Okay. See, if suppose the same company we have to do audit for the next year, then Shubham will again going to take the P&L income items because he has already have a prior experience. Whereas Payal will going to do the expenses related items in the P&L. Okay, because she also have a prior experience related to expenses. Okay. So one is clear set of instruction. He is sitting in a table and he is instructing clear set of instruction. Then allocation of work is being done, which will going to reduce risk of omission. Then accountability. Obviously, if there is any mistake in income item, if any part of income item is being missed, then it's a responsibility of Shubham, that is accountability. Then monitor it helps in monitoring the progresses. Okay, then it also guide for the future audits. So these 7 points you can remember through this story, which is Shubham and the Payal. Okay, then what is the disadvantages? You just imagine it's a mechanical work, so many things. Okay, each and everything, for each line item of balance sheet, for each line item of P&L, you need to determine that what audit procedure needs to be performed. Okay, so it's a very mechanical work. You just imagine there are so many items in the balance sheet, there are so many items in the P&L. So all things you need to allocate what procedure you have applied it for each line item of balance sheet or the P&L. So it is a mechanical work with little understanding of audit objective. Then it can become rigid and inflexible. Okay, it is very rigid and inflexible because failing to adapt to change in the operation or internal control. If there is any change in the operation or internal control, if there is any change in the operation of the client or internal control has been changed, then obviously the audit program which have been prepared earlier will going to be of no use. You need to prepare again. Okay, so rigidity and inflexibility, it is very much rigid and it is very much inflexible. Then comes inefficient staff. Okay, just imagine you are getting an audit program from your engagement partner. You will be not thinking what all things has to be included, what all unnecessary steps can be eliminated. You have just given a set of instruction and you will be blindly following it. So inefficient staff may hide behind the program to justify their shortcomings. Okay, and it may also discourage initiative and independent thinking. Okay, amongst capable assistants, you will not be thinking because since some sort of instructions have been given that you need to follow it. Okay, so you are not capable enough, so it will going to discourage initiatives. Okay, so 4 points. One is it is a lot of mechanical work needs to be done. Another one is it is very much rigid and inflexible. Inefficient staff, it will going to make inefficient staff, it will going to discourage initiatives. Okay, amongst capable assistants. So I hope you have enjoyed this revision video. Lots of memory techniques also we have done it in this video itself. So please go through this revision videos at least 2 times so that you can recall all the concepts through the stories and you can link it out. So let us just write these points. So one is documentary examination. Another one is physical examination, statement or explanation from management or employee, or getting statement or explanation from third party. Then comes minutes of meeting, then internal control check, and then arithmetic calculation. Then comes subsidiary and memorandum, subsidiary and memorandum record. And the final point is subsequent action by client or others. What is the subsequent action by client or others? That's it. I hope you would have enjoyed this revision video. If you are new to our channel, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment and let me know how this revision helped you. during your preparation. Thank you so much for watching the video. Stay connected. Jai Hind. Bye bye. Take care.